Whoever did this seems to have made you human.
Whose horse is that?
What the
I'm noticing a pattern with Strange New Worlds Season 2. The show seems to be focused the most on the characters' development and setting them up on the board in a way that makes us care about them. Which is terrifying because the only reason they would want us to care deeply about any of the main characters is to up the stakes and add tension. So while we've been sitting here watching what feel like vacation episodes, the writers have been preparing something big, a dangerous situation to put them all in so that we feel real fear at the possibility of them dying. Episode 1 showed us more of Mbenga's history with war and violence and the reliance on drugs that caused. Episode 2 showed us the difficult childhood and even more difficult adulthood of Unach and Riley. Episode 3 showed us how difficult it is for Laan Noonien-Singh to connect with people, and when she finally does, he's taken away from her. Episode 4 showed us Captain Pike's difficulties with balancing love and connection with his duties as a leader, as well as Ortega's strong sense of identity, pulling herself out of the fog when no one else could. And finally, Episode 5 forces Spock and Nurse Chapel to confront their feelings for each other and finally begin the romance that the show has been teasing for a season and a half now. So what is all this character development leading to? Who is left for us to develop? The only two I can think of are Commander Pelia, who I feel like will remain the show's comic relief rather than get her own episode, and Lieutenant Jenna Mitchell, who we haven't seen since she sabotaged the warp core in Episode 1. Does this mean that Episode 6 might finally bring us a plot thread that will see us through the rest of the season? I sure hope so. That isn't to say that I haven't enjoyed the more character-focused episodes, especially this one. Episode 5 starts off following Chapel as she narrates what she's been up to lately. Most of her time is taken up by studying for the entrance interview for the Vulcan Science Academy, and she has enlisted most of the crew to help her study as well, excluding Spock, of course. Their relationship has been awkward since events in the first season brought their feelings for each other a little too close to the surface. This episode, however, forces them to stop avoiding each other, when they are paired together to fly a shuttle surveying a spatial anomaly. But the mission goes wrong, and the shuttle is sucked into the anomaly, and all we see before the screen goes black is the pair of them looking at each other like they know these are their last moments. But luckily they are not. When the screen lights up again, we are seeing from Spock's perspective, with a group of people, including Nurse Chapel, hovering over him. With the way they are looking at him, I expected him to be mutilated or something, but when he sits up, we see that somehow the accident turned him human. We learn that Spock and Chapel crashed into the transport tunnel of a previously uncontacted civilization. But it seems like we almost brush past the fact that the ship just met beings that are far more technologically advanced than the Federation. We quickly get back to Spock's changes that are apparently not just aesthetic changes. He has no control over his emotions, as we can see from the montage that follows. He can partake in the humor of his friends, he can get angry, and he can smell, which is apparently something Vulcans can do. But the silliness of him getting acquainted with his human self ends when his mother arrives. She immediately spots the difference, despite him wearing a fully regulation Starfleet beanie. She informs him that they cannot afford to postpone the pre-marriage ritual with his future bride's family any longer. T'Pring and her mother will be arriving soon, and now cue another montage of the crew trying to help Spock fake how to be Vulcan again. The efforts, however, don't appear to be working, and it all comes down to whether or not Nurse Chapel can finish her cure in time. While Spock distracts his soon-to-be mother-in-law by faking his way through the ritual, Chapel, Uhura, and Ortegas fly back to the site of the crash and fly straight into the tunnel that almost killed Spock and Chapel. They are successful, though, and manage to make contact with the incorporeal beings who all seem to be named after colors, but in this episode we only meet Yellow and Blue. Yellow agrees to give Chapel what she needs to save Spock, but to do so, she has to prove her connection to him and essentially confess her love in front of Uhura and Ortegas. She gets back just in time to save Spock from giving himself away. As we learned earlier in the episode, he can't fake his way through a mind meld, and that's exactly what he was about to try to do. They get him the serum and he is back to his Vulcan self on the inside. The exterior changes will take a bit longer. That said, after all Spock's mother, Chapel, Pike, and all the other crew members did to help him get through this night, he still decides to reveal the fact that he has been human the whole time to his future mother-in-law. I understand that this is a very touching moment between he and his mother, but the entire episode was about him not revealing the fact that he was human. I'm not sure what the message was supposed to be, but the writers got what they wanted. Spock and T'Pring are on a break, and that frees Spock up to sleep with Chapel, which he does, immediately. All in all, the episode just left me wanting more substance from this season. I know the show is attempting to move back to self-contained exploring the Final Frontier stories, but the older shows had around 25 episodes a season to do this in. Strange New Worlds only has 10. We need plot and we need it now, or this season runs the risk of becoming an entirely filler season. Tell me in the comments where you think the season is heading. Fingers crossed for episode 7, and I hope to see you all here again next week. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and ring that notification bell to be notified when I post my next video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.